Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Buhai. First, at this hour, negotiations on the next detainees exchange have been actually blocked. This is how a member of the Ukrainian delegation, Serhiy Harmash, commented on the latest video conference of the Trilateral contact group. He noted that Ukraine has already sent the list of captives twice. In its turn, Russia refuses to provide the relevant documents. At the same time, Russian Federation puts forward an ultimatum to cancel the decision of the Verkhovna Rada on not holding elections in the temporarily occupied territories of Donbas. Nevertheless, head of the Ukrainian delegation to the Trilateral contact group and his deputy have taken a firm state position and ignored all the provocations of the Russian side. Ukraine has not been, is not, and will not conduct any subversive activities against Belarus. This is how the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry reacted to another statement of Alexander Lukashenko about alleged interference in their internal affairs, namely in the management of protests. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry called on colleagues and partners from Belarus not to respond to such informational provocations in order not to fall into the trap of propaganda and fakes. Forest fires have spread around the east of Ukraine. One person died. In Luhansk region, more than 1,200 hectares of forest are burning there. The flames destroyed 13 abandoned households. The situation is complicated by the proximity of the fire sources to mine lands. Explosions are heard periodically near the contact line. As a result of such explosion, a rescuer and 2 servicemen have been wounded.
Our region's specificity lies in that we cannot use aviation since the fire is taking place along the contact line. We can hear regular explosions there. We solved the problem with relocation of people to hospitals in case it's necessary, because the smoke was very strong yesterday. We even drove a special fire train there with 2 120-ton wagons and 2 kilometers sleeve. The situation is under control.
In the temporarily occupied territories of the Luhansk region, 4 residential buildings have burned down. According to the self-proclaimed authorities, the fire seized 50 hectares of forest. The highest class of fire danger, the 5th one, has been declared. Local social networks indicate careless handling of fire as the reason behind the disaster. 1,000 houses destroyed as the result of military actions in Donbas will be restored by rescuers before winter. Employees of the State Emergency Service from all over Ukraine are renovating residential buildings in the villages of Volnovaha and Bakhmutsky districts. Our correspondent met with local residents. This is our river. Here we used to spend much time relaxing. Now only few people come to swim. The other riverbank is not ours anymore. It now belongs to the Donetsk People's Republic.
The village of Chermalik is located just 300 meters from the temporarily occupied territory. The Kalmios River is the only border that separates this. But during military actions, shells landed everywhere. On either side of this, says local resident Ludmila.
The firing was heavy here. At times it was impossible to walk around the village because bullets were going here and there. My neighbor had to hide for 2 hours under a pile. Sometimes houses got hit. While now, under the ceasefire, they do not shoot at all. Maybe just a little bit. Still, from time to time, this happens.
Ludmila's house got damaged. Rescuers have been working here for a week. In the coming days, they hope to complete the repair of the roof. This year, rescuers have restored 2,000 houses in Chermalik. But there is still a lot of work. During the hostilities, housing was the most severely damaged in Yasenovata, Bakhmut, Marinka and Volnovaha districts, as well as in Torets, Avdiivka and Krasnohorivka. Here a shell bombing left its marks, and here. What happened and where did it fall? It fell into the garden near the house. Senior citizens, pensioners, large families live here. They cannot renovate their houses on their own.
Выделили все материалы.
All the necessary materials have been chosen: slate and nails, roofing materials, cement and zinc. There is enough stuff for repair works.
Нам, простым пенсионерам,
For us ordinary pensioners, it is difficult to cope with such work. It is expensive, building materials and the work itself. I could never afford this.
During military actions, about 7,000 houses got damaged by shelling in the Donetsk region. 5,000 have already been restored.
Усього за
In 2020, it is planned to reconstruct more than 1,000 houses. Today, the restoration work have been completed at 696 addresses. Construction materials were purchased at the expense of the region budget, and 300 rescuers from all over Ukraine have been involved in repair works. Reported by Roman Smolar, UATV News.
Ukrainians support the big construction project. Such results have been published by the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology. According to a public opinion poll, 67% of Ukrainians support the government's construction program. Interestingly, 72% of the respondents believe that the big construction was launched primarily for maintenance and repair of roads. From 36 to 49% of the respondents are aware of the fact that the national program also includes construction of schools, kindergartens and stadiums. The Ukrainian government's recent initiative regarding ceasefire in Donbas received the greatest support among the respondents. 90% of the Ukrainians interviewed by the sociologists welcome the decision.
This is what people will remember. It makes certain impressions, namely positive changes. It does not mean that this program has to be a priority for the state, because it is an expert issue that is a matter of priority for the development of state. When people see changes, it gives them hope. They see with their own eyes that country has been developing.
To create favorable conditions for the development of the IT industry, the President of Ukraine instructed the Cabinet of Ministers to develop and submit a number of bills to the Parliament. These are meant to help increase the competitiveness of Ukrainian IT companies in the foreign market, prevent unjustified interference in their activities, and promote the development of education in the field of information technology. Volodymyr Zelensky also instructed to pay special attention to improving the procedure for obtaining permits for foreign IT specialists immigrating to Ukraine.
To ensure actions directed to improvement of procedures for receiving immigration permits by IT specialists who are foreigners or stateless persons. Also, the procedure regarding the licensing of labor used by an IT company employer.
The daily growth of coronavirus cases in Ukraine is not decreasing. More than 2,000 new cases have been recorded daily for 2 last weeks in a row. 2,430 people were diagnosed with COVID-19 over the past 24 hours. At the same time, 859 people recovered. 54 died. According to the Ministry of Health, upon considering international experience, Ukraine have included remdesivir in the national standard of COVID-19 treatment. The antiviral medication is manufactured by one of the leading American pharmaceutical companies.
A regulation on the allocation of funds for purchase of remdesivir has been already adopted. This is a medicinal agent that has not been registered in Ukraine yet. However, the legislation allows us to carry out centralized import and purchase of the medication. As soon as we got an agreement with the manufacturing company, we immediately submitted the necessary regulation.
Meanwhile, a large-scale TavRida-ART festival is being held in Sudak in the annexed Crimea. Social distancing is not observed here, as well as the rest of infection control standards. Both spectators and participants are not wearing any masks. Meanwhile, Russia ranks fourth in the world in the number of coronavirus cases, and this is the annual film festival in Venice, Italy. Celebrities are all wearing masks, and the chairs in the hall have been distanced. The order of the celebrity stage appearance is being announced remotely, as Venice has hit the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the country again. money instead of a baby package. Free kits that were provided by the state after the baby birth have been replaced with special compensation. Our correspondents know more.
Money instead of a baby package. The Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine has decided on a new approach to granting assistance to young families. While earlier, new mothers were given such boxes, now it's up to them to decide how to spend roughly $180 allocated by the state. Alina's son is almost 3 months old. The young mom did not receive the baby package at the maternity hospital. Now she's finalizing paperwork to receive the cash assistance.
I did not receive my baby package because there were no such kits in the maternity hospital. We addressed the social service. When my baby turned 1 month, I called to the maternity hospital to get the directions regarding this problem, because the child is growing up and we're still waiting, or rather, we had to wait for assistance.
The first thing for young parents to do is to register a special account and order a payment card. As regards monetization of the in-kind assistance baby package, it started on September 1st and 739 moms have already got their cards. The account can be opened at any branch of a state bank.
A client have to come to Privatbank branch with documents that include passport and tax ID. We issue a card immediately on the spot. It takes less than 15 minutes, and from that moment on, you can receive social assistance using this card.
In order to receive the cash benefit, one should submit to the local social protection department the following package of documents: application with account details, child's birth certificate, tax ID, passport, certificate from the maternity hospital about not receiving the baby package. Roughly $180 is only allowed to be spent for a baby's needs and used in specialized stores. It remains valid for 1 year. As for now, the Ministry of Social Policy has received 14 applications for participation in the program from retail supplier chains. Reported by Nick Starkov, Inna Mazurkevich, Serhiy Ilinsky for UATV.
That was our final story this hour. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages.